Welcome back to XRP Pulse, your go-to source for the latest XRP news, market insights, and crypto updates. Today we're looking at a question that every XRP holder has probably asked at least once. If you invest $1,000 into XRP today, how much could that investment be worth 5 years from now? It's a simple question, but the answer could be incredibly exciting depending on where XRP heads over the next several years. XRP has had a roller coaster journey filled with major legal battles, dramatic price swings, and bold predictions from both supporters and critics. While many investors expected 2025 to be a breakout year for XRP, the reality has been much more complicated. Despite several positive developments that seem destined to push prices higher, XRP has struggled to maintain momentum, leaving many investors wondering whether the best days are still ahead or already behind us. Over the past year, XRP appeared to have everything working in its favor. The long-running legal dispute with the the Securities and Exchange Commission, finally moved toward resolution, removing one of the biggest clouds hanging over the asset. At the same time, new investment products connected to XRP began attracting attention from institutional investors. Many market participants believed these developments would trigger a sustained rally and send XRP to new all-time highs. For a while, that optimism seemed justified. XRP climbed above $3.50 during its strongest period, creating excitement across the crypto community. Social media was filled with bold predictions, and many investors expected the momentum to continue. Instead, the market took a different path. Since reaching those highs, XRP has experienced significant downward pressure and has fallen sharply from its peak levels, reminding everyone that cryptocurrency markets rarely move in a straight line. Even with the recent decline, XRP remains one of the most closely watched digital assets in the world. Its unique position within the financial ecosystem continues to attract attention from investors looking beyond short-term price action. Unlike many cryptocurrencies that focus primarily on decentralization or smart contracts, XRP has always emphasized speed, efficiency, and cross-border payment solutions. This focus has helped maintain interest from institutions and financial organizations around the globe. While price performance often dominates headlines, many long-term holders continue to pay close attention to adoption trends, partnership developments, and regulatory progress. These factors could ultimately play a much larger role in determining XRP's future value than daily market fluctuations. For investors considering a 5-year horizon, understanding these underlying drivers may be just as important as watching the price chart. To understand where XRP could go in the future, it's useful to look at what happened in the past. Let's start with a relatively recent time frame. Imagine you invested $1,000 into XRP 5 years ago, when the token was trading around 90 cents. At first glance, that sounds like it should have produced life-changing gains. However, the actual outcome may surprise some investors. While the investment would have grown, the increase would not have been as dramatic as many people expect from a cryptocurrency. That original $1,000 investment would now be worth approximately $1,464. A gain is still a gain, and no investor would complain about earning money. But compared to some expectations surrounding crypto assets, the result is relatively modest. In fact, traditional stock market investments delivered stronger returns during the same period, showing that even promising digital assets can sometimes underperform broader markets. Things become far more interesting when we extend the timeline. Instead of looking back 5 years, let's go back 10 years. This is where XRP's story becomes truly remarkable. In 2016, XRP was trading at levels that now seem almost impossible to imagine. Investors who recognized the opportunity early and committed capital during those years witnessed one of the most explosive growth periods in cryptocurrency history. A $1,000 investment made back then would have generated returns exceeding 22,000%. That means the same investment would now be worth well over $226,000. It's the kind of return that transforms financial futures and creates legendary investment stories. These numbers help explain why XRP continues to attract attention from investors searching for the next major opportunity. The possibility of capturing even a fraction of those historical gains is enough to keep many people interested despite periods of volatility. Of course, the past does not guarantee future performance. Every experienced investor understands that historical returns are simply one piece of the puzzle. The crypto market has evolved dramatically over the last decade. Competition has increased, regulations have become more important, and institutional participation has grown significantly. The conditions that allowed XRP to generate extraordinary returns in the past may not exist in exactly the same form moving forward. Nevertheless, historical performance can provide valuable context when evaluating future possibilities. It shows what can happen when strong market narratives, investor enthusiasm, and technological adoption align. While expecting another 22,000% surge may be unrealistic, understanding XRP's ability to generate substantial gains helps investors appreciate why so many remain optimistic about its long-term potential. Looking ahead 5 years, the biggest question revolves around adoption. If XRP continues expanding its role in global payments and financial infrastructure, the token could experience significant growth. Supporters argue that faster transaction speeds, lower costs, and increased efficiency give XRP advantages in certain use cases compared to traditional systems. If more financial institutions integrate XRP-related solutions into their operations, demand could increase over time. Greater utility often translates into stronger long-term value, particularly when combined with broader market growth. While adoption is never guaranteed, it remains one of the strongest arguments presented by XRP bulls. They believe that real-world usage, rather than speculation alone, could eventually drive the next major phase of growth for the asset. Another factor investors should consider is the overall cryptocurrency market cycle. Historically, digital assets have moved through periods of intense growth followed by corrections and consolidation phases. These cycles can last several years and often influence nearly every major cryptocurrency. XRP is no exception. If the broader crypto market enters another powerful expansion phase during the next 5 years, XRP could benefit alongside other leading digital assets. Increased institutional involvement, favorable regulatory developments, and growing public awareness could all contribute to stronger demand across the sector. When optimism returns to the market, capital tends to flow toward established assets with strong brand recognition, and XRP certainly fits that description. This broader market environment could play a major role in determining future returns. Let's consider a conservative scenario. Suppose XRP experiences steady but moderate growth over the next 5 years. If the price merely doubles from current levels, a $1,000 investment would become approximately $2,000. While that may not sound as exciting as the stories from early investors, doubling your money in 5 years is still a respectable outcome. Many traditional investments struggle to achieve that level of performance over the same time frame. For investors focused on long-term wealth building, consistent growth can be just as valuable as chasing extraordinary returns. This scenario highlights the importance of realistic expectations and disciplined investing. Not every successful investment needs to produce life-changing gains overnight. Now let's examine a more optimistic outlook. If XRP returns to previous highs and establishes new record levels over the next 5 years, the results become considerably more impressive. A significant increase in adoption, combined with favorable market conditions, could potentially multiply the value of a $1,000 investment several times over. Investors who believe XRP can reclaim and surpass its strongest historical performance often point to growing institutional interest and ongoing development within the ecosystem. Under this type of scenario, a relatively small investment today could potentially grow into a meaningful portfolio position. While there are no guarantees, this possibility remains one of the primary reasons many investors continue accumulating XRP during periods of market weakness. The most bullish forecasts are naturally the most controversial. Some XRP supporters envision a future where widespread adoption transforms the asset into a critical component of global finance. Under those assumptions, price targets become dramatically higher, and a $1,000 investment could theoretically generate returns that far exceed traditional market expectations. Critics argue that such projections are overly optimistic and fail to account for competition, regulatory challenges, and changing market dynamics. Regardless of where someone stands on the debate, these ambitious forecasts demonstrate the level of conviction that exists within parts of the XRP community. Few assets inspire such passionate discussions about long-term value and future potential. Risk management remains essential throughout this conversation. Cryptocurrency investing offers tremendous opportunities, but it also carries substantial risks. Prices can move rapidly in either direction, and even the strongest projects can experience prolonged downturns. Investors considering XRP should carefully evaluate their risk tolerance and avoid committing funds they cannot afford to leave invested for extended periods. A 5-year investment horizon requires patience and discipline, especially during periods of volatility. Those who focus exclusively on short-term price movements often find the journey challenging, while long-term investors tend to concentrate more on fundamentals and broader trends. One lesson from XRP's history is that timing can have an enormous impact on outcomes. Two investors who purchase the same asset at different moments can experience dramatically different results. Someone who invested during periods of extreme pessimism may achieve extraordinary returns, while another investor entering near market peaks may face years of waiting before seeing meaningful gains. This reality underscores the importance of having a strategy rather than reacting emotionally to headlines and price swings. Successful investing often involves maintaining a long-term perspective, even when market conditions become uncomfortable or uncertain. The next 5 years will likely bring significant changes to the cryptocurrency landscape. Regulatory frameworks may become clearer, institutional participation could expand, and blockchain technology may continue moving closer to mainstream adoption. XRP's ability to capitalize on these developments will play a crucial role in determining its future value. Investors will be watching closely for signs of increased utility, stronger partnerships, and continued ecosystem growth. Every major announcement has the potential to influence market sentiment and reshape expectations about what XRP can achieve in the years ahead. What makes the XRP story especially fascinating is the contrast between its challenges and its resilience. Despite legal battles, market downturns, and intense scrutiny, the asset has remained one of the most recognized names in cryptocurrency. That staying power has helped maintain a dedicated community of supporters who continue believing in the project's long-term vision. Whether that confidence ultimately translates into higher prices remains to be seen, but the level of engagement surrounding XRP is undeniable. Few digital assets have managed to remain relevant through multiple market cycles while continuing to attract attention from both retail and institutional investors. So here's the bottom line. A $1,000 investment in XRP today could be worth significantly more in 5 years, but the exact outcome depends on a wide range of factors, including adoption, market conditions, regulation, and investor sentiment. History shows that XRP has delivered extraordinary gains for some investors, while more recent performance demonstrates that success is never guaranteed. The next chapter of XRP's journey is still being written, and the opportunities ahead could be substantial if key developments unfold in its favor. For now, investors are left with the same question that continues driving discussions across the crypto world. Could today's $1,000 investment become tomorrow's remarkable success story? Only time will reveal the answer, and that is exactly why so many eyes remain firmly fixed on XRP.